The playoffs are where stars are born and where players become legends. Here are the 10 best performers of the 2023 NBA playoffs. Number 10, Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is one of the most frustrating superstars in the NBA. When he's aggressive and his shots are falling, he looks like the best player in the league. But then he takes mini vacations in the middle of a game and disappears when his team needs him most. His lack of aggression and dependence on the three-point shot are the main reasons why Jason isn't higher on this list and why the Celtics didn't make the NBA Finals. Still, it would be blasphemous to say that Tatum isn't a hell of a player, and the numbers confirm this. Tatum averaged 27, 10, and 5 for a team that was one game away from making the NBA Finals. Jason led Boston in points, rebounds, and assists with a solid 46% shooting from the field. In 9 of his 20 games in the playoffs, Tatum scored 30 or more points, including a 51-point masterpiece in Game 7 of the second round against the Sixers. Tatum's game and career so far can be described as a phenomenal meal with a bad dessert. Still, he's only 25 years old, and despite the bad aftertaste he leaves with the Celtics fans after each playoffs,
the Celtics are worse than any girl on the planet because they will break your heart.
We still haven't seen the best of Jason Tatum. As for the main reason why Tatum didn't win a ring in 2022, number 9, Steph Curry once again proved why he's an NBA legend this postseason. In the first round against the Kings, Golden State was down 2-0 when Steph strung together 3 straight 30-point games to give the Warriors a 3-2 lead. When the Kings tied the series and forced a Game 7, Steph decided to take it a step further. Curry had the best playoff game of his career, scoring 50 points along with 8 rebounds and 6 assists. This was the first time anyone scored 50 in Game 7, even though Tatum would repeat that feat just 2 weeks later. While the Warriors disappointed their fans and bowed out in the second round, you can't pin an ounce of the blame on Curry. The Lakers double-teamed Steph pretty much the entire series, always sending help whenever he crossed half-court, and Curry still averaged 27, 5, and 7. The only reason why the Warriors lost is that he had no help, as Clay and Poole had terrible shooting series. But Curry wasn't the only point guard who got no help from an all-star teammate. Number 8, Jalen Brunson had the best playoff performance by any Knicks player since 1994, when Ewing led New York to the finals. In the 2023 playoffs, Brunson didn't have a single game below 20 points, and he finished the postseason averaging 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, with just 2 turnovers per game. The sturdy 6'1" guard led the Knicks past the Cavs in the first round with a stellar all-around game, making sound decisions and hitting timely shots. In the second round against Miami, while the rest of his teammates went ice cold and couldn't hit a shot, Jalen put the team on his back. In the final 3 games of that series, Brunson had 32, 38, and 41 points. But because of lackluster performances from Julius Randle and R.J. Barrett, who combined shot 4 for 24 in Game 6, the Knicks lost the series. Still, New York has a real one in Brunson, and despite the loss, they have a lot to be happy about. Another player who scored over 20 points in each playoff game is number 7, Kevin Durant. But unlike Brunson, we've grown accustomed to such performances from Durant, and we always expect him to score over 25. In the first round against the Clippers, KD delivered. He had over 25 points in each game of that series, finishing with 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists on average, with phenomenal 50, 40, 90 shooting splits. However, in the second round against the Nuggets, many of his mid-range jumpers bounced off the rim, and he was shooting just 22% from deep. But even if he was more efficient, it still wouldn't have mattered. KD averaged 29, 10, and 5, but Jokic and the Nuggets were just too good for the shorthanded Suns. Unlike KD, number 6, Bam Adebayo is not known for his scoring. However, he was the Heat's top scorer in the NBA Finals, while having the toughest defensive matchup in basketball. Bam is Miami's version of Draymond Green, a Swiss Army knife that does everything on the court, holds the whole defense together, and runs a ton of offensive sets. While his playoff stats of 18 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 assists won't jump off the page, Bam was the second best player on a finals team and fully deserves a spot on this list. His toughness, versatility, communication, screen setting won't be accounted for in a traditional stat sheet, but if we look at hustle stats, that's where Bam shines. With 5.2 screen assists per game, Bam was third in the playoffs behind Jokic and Sabonis. Adebayo is also at the top of the charts in deflections and contested shots, and those kind of skills are why he already made 4 all-defensive teams at the age of 25. But while Adebayo is just entering his prime, number 5, LeBron James, the next player on this list, has just come out of his, and it only took him about 20 years. He's old. The 2023 playoffs were the first time we've seen LeBron James struggle to get past his defender. This limited his ability to put the team on his back like we've seen him do in the past 20 years, partly because of his age and partly because of the ankle injury that almost ended his season. LeBron had the worst playoffs of his career other than 2011, but he was still amongst the best players on the planet. Despite playing off the ball more than ever, King James is still the smartest player in the game, and he strategically picked his spots to attack. He still led the Lakers in scoring in every series, averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists, while shooting 50% from the field. And while his three-pointer didn't fall, when it was most important, LeBron was clutch. In closeout games against the Grizzlies and the Warriors, LeBron put his head down and led the Lakers to victory. When he was down 3-0 against the Nuggets, James showed what he's made of when he scored 31 in the first half of Game 4, making 11 of his 13 shots and 4 three-pointers without a miss. It was the highest scoring playoff half of his career, which is amazing for a guy who is playing through an injury at 38 years old. And while the Heat version of LeBron would probably finish Game 4 with 50 points, this 2023 version was just too tired to win the game by himself against the superior opponent. The Lakers got swept, but LeBron still showed his greatness. And while we're talking about the Lakers, it wouldn't be fair not to mention Anthony Davis. It's true that offensively, Davis played like a lion in one game and like a small kitten in the next one. But still, AD was the best defensive player in the playoffs. He averaged more than 3 blocks per game and was the main reason why the Lakers got past the Warriors. The Lakers funneled all drives towards AD, and the shots that Davis didn't block, he altered or scared away opponents from even attempting the shot. Despite people who say that he struggled offensively, Davis still averaged 22 points and 14 rebounds on 52% shooting and 85% from the free throw line, and that's why he deserves to be mentioned. But one of the biggest reasons why Davis and LeBron didn't advance to the NBA Finals was number 4, Jamal Murray. While Jokic's triple-doubles deservedly get the majority of the credit, it was Murray's shot-making that really defeated the Lakers. Jamal averaged 32, 6, and 5 versus LA, while shooting 50, 40, 90 for the series, leading both teams in points and made three-pointers. Murray's explosive scoring outbursts are what set the Nuggets apart when the games were on the line, and he's had the best comeback story of the year. After a devastating ACL injury and missing 555 days of NBA action, Murray came back with a vengeance, averaging 26, 6, and 7 in the playoffs, and leading the Nuggets to an NBA championship. And before we get to the top 3 players of the 2023 playoffs, we have to give an honorable mention to 2 future superstars whose teams lost in the first round. De'Aaron Fox was fast, explosive, and fearless against Steph Curry and the Warriors, hitting clutch shots and leaving everybody in the dust when attacking the rim. Fox averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, and 2 steals, showing that there's plenty of promise in Sacramento. Equally impressive was another first-time All-Star, Anthony Edwards. Ant-Man averaged 31, 5, and 5 in the first round against the Nuggets, while playing with a bad shoulder. This was Edwards' second playoff appearance, and both times he upped the ante and increased his numbers from the regular season. And that's a great indicator that he's gonna become a superstar. And while most of the players we mentioned so far had great shooting numbers, this man had one of the best playoff shooting exhibitions the NBA has ever seen. Number 3, Devin Booker was on fire, and it seemed like every shot he was putting up was going in. In the first round against the Clippers, Book averaged 37 points on 60% shooting and 47% from 3, including 2 40-point games. And in the second round against the Nuggets, the Suns lost the first 2 games after 27 and 35-point performances from Book.
They might get swept.
But it seemed like the Suns couldn't win unless their superstars went ballistic, and that's exactly what Booker did. In Game 3, he scored 47 points on 20 and 25 shooting, along with 9 assists. And when the world thought he couldn't keep that efficiency, he had 36 points in Game 4 on 14-18 shooting. He was shooting 62% from the field and 51% from deep on 37 points per game, which was the most efficient 9-game shooting stretch in NBA playoff history. But it was impossible to keep that going. And as soon as his efficiency dropped off, the Suns lost the next 2 games and the series. And while Booker is known as a shooter, number 2, Jimmy Butler, isn't. And he still had the best scoring game of the 2023 playoffs. It was Game 4 of the first round, and the world was already surprised realized that Miami was leading 2-1 over the number 1 seeded Milwaukee Bucks. However, that was without Giannis, who got injured early in Game 1 and was now back for Game 4. And while everybody figured that a healthy Giannis would make quick work of Miami, Jimmy Buckets had other ideas. He exploded for 56 points, which was the 4th best scoring output in playoff history, to propel the Heat to victory. Then, in Game 5, Jimmy dropped 42 points, including the game-tying shot to force overtime, where Miami won the game and the series. In the second round, he played through a tough ankle injury. But even on one leg, Jimmy stuck around and helped the Heat advance. Butler averaged 27 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists in the playoffs. But his impact goes beyond the numbers. Jimmy's leadership, resilience, and toughness are what pushed the 8th-seeded Miami Heat all the way to the NBA Finals, where they became just the second 8th-seeded team to achieve that feat. And if there's anyone in the NBA who was doubted more than Jimmy, it's number 1, Nikola Jokic, the 41st pick in the draft, whose selection was less important than a Taco Bell commercial. Even after 2 MVPs and a historical 2023 regular season, Jokic and the Nuggets were still overlooked. But nobody is doubting them now. Jokic had one of the best playoff runs ever, with 30 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 9.5 assists, becoming the first player in NBA playoff history to lead all players in points, rebounds, and assists. Jokic produced 55 points per game if we combine scoring and passing, which is the best mark ever in the playoffs. And that doesn't even include screen assists, where Jokic ranked 2nd in these playoffs. Even defensively, Jokic was above average, as the Nuggets finished the playoffs with the 3rd best defense. The Joker dominated in a way we've never seen before, and now he's deservedly sitting on the throne as the best player in the NBA.